Kwami, I don't see you on the.
I'm turning it on right now. I'm using my computer.
Okay, that's fine.
Hey everybody, it's Larry here from Let's Talk. Be sure to join us on Monday, March 17th, when our special guest will be retired circuit judge, Marion Humphrey, right here on KABF, as we talk on a very serious subject matter about politics and prayer. You don't want to miss what the judge has got to say about that.
What I need.
You cut your volume all the way down, and then put it on mute. Put yourself on mute.
Okay.
Now let's see.
All the money you are owed. Arkansas community organizations and everybody tax and
All right, y'all have a good show.
All right.
tax filing services.
I don't see your face.
We will show you how to prepare your own taxes for free. We will use computers at our sites. We will walk you through the process every step of the way. And we will file tax returns for those who may not have the ability to file.
Can you cut me up? Can you cut me up, please?
Call us at 501-376-7151. If you live in Pine Bluff and Southeast Arkansas, call us at 870-536-6300. Get all of your refunds and learn how to do your tax return. To get an appointment, call
Ain't nothing coming through here.
501-376-7151. If you live in Central Arkansas or
You
Pine
listen.
Bluff and Southeast Arkansas, call 870-536-6300.
Hey, listeners, this is Wade Bradley at KABF. We are a non-commercial, listener-supported radio station. We are able to stay on the air and offer unique programming because listeners like you become members and pledge $5, $10, or $20 every month to support us. This is the month to become a KABF member. Go on our website, kabf.org, and sign up today. We're not too proud today. We need you and we are you. Please support us now.
Organizations that work to fight food insecurity across Arkansas support 2 bills before state legislators. The Grocery Tax Relief Act would repeal the state grocery tax, and the Good Neighbor Act expands protections for food donors at events. Brian Burton with the Arkansas Food Bank says several recent bills passed by lawmakers have helped Arkansans who can't afford food.
Expanding school lunch program and raising the asset limit on
It's the box.
SNAP, yeah. And
No, put the black one back in.
Huh?
Put the black one back in.
School breakfast bill.
Arkansas is one of only 10 states in the country that
The black-
has a grocery tax. It
This one right here.
generates
Put this one in.
$10 million a year. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has ranked
I
Arkansas
got it.
number 1 for food insecurity for the last 2 years. If the bills are passed, they will go into effect in January 2026. Burton says they're also monitoring possible changes in federal funding.
It's just this
the Trump administration.
When they talk about cutting the federal budget, they are hurting low resource states like Arkansas, because we are very dependent on all of the myriad of federal government programs, some of which have been funded for decades.
Nearly 11,000 more Arkansans are struggling to make ends meet than in 2022. It's estimated nearly 47% of Arkansas households are living paycheck to paycheck. Burton says those residents will be impacted the most by any changes.
Programs like SNAP and WIC and the Farm Bill, these are mission critical and central to the fight against food insecurity. In fact, 80% of food insecurity is solved through some form of federal nutrition programs.
I'm Frida Ross, Arkansas News Service. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
This is Sam, and he changed my life. If you're a veteran or know a veteran struggling with post-traumatic stress or traumatic brain injury, Please go to AmericanHumane.org to learn about the Pups for Patriots service dog program.
A message from American Humane.
Put your phone on mute. Put your phone on mute. And cut the volume all the way down.
Good morning, good
Stay right
morning, good morning. Hey, you heard the music. It's after 9 o'clock, so you know what time it is. It's time for the workplace here on KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people community radio. And you know, as the song always said, we got work to do. There's a lot of work we got to do. Work to do in our neighborhoods, work to do on our sales, work to do with our elected officials. There's just so much work to do. And we just want to have a discussion about that work this morning. As always, my beautiful, vivacious, fierce co-host is in the studio this morning, the Reverend Dr. Denise Darnell. I can't do it like she do it.
Don't do it. Grand Rising Humans.
And we also have a guest into the studio this morning. Well, he's really not a guest. He used to have his own show here at KBF 88.3 FM on Tuesday afternoons. I miss watching his son run around the studio having fun. And so he's been on several shows here at KBF. Kwami Abdul-Bey.
Good morning. How are you doing?
All right.
We got to be in the past tense. Why can't I have a show now?
You gotta talk to the people back there.
Ain't nothing stopping you from but air and opportunity. We don't suck all the air out. So
Let's
hey.
do it.
Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and get these announcements out the way before we start. Excuse me. Before we start getting into the discussion this morning. Do you have any announcements?
Oh, I think I probably do. Can you go first?
Okay. UA Pulaski Tech hosts Women's History Month panel discussion. Join UA Pulaski Tech as they celebrate Women's History Month with a special panel discussion on Tuesday, March 18th at 11 a.m. at the Charts Theater on the UA PTC main campus in North Little Rock. The reception starts at 10:30 a.m. in the Charts lobby, leading into a discussion moderated by Dr. Anna Hunt, Provost and Chief Academic Officer. This year's theme is Moving Forward Together, Winning, Educating, and Inspiring Generations. Highlights the impact of women in education, leadership, and mentorship. Featured panelists include Keisha M. Smith Brantley, Dr. Shauna Spriggs Loring, and Kathy Owens. Leaders in advocacy, education, and business. The Arkansas Women's Hall of Fame will also recognize 2 outstanding female students with scholarships. This event is open to the public and the UAPTC community. For more details, visit uaptc.edu. Free CD giveaways at KABF 88.3 FM. Attention music lovers, we're clearing out our collection and giving away free CDs in a variety of genres, including jazz, country, rock, world, movie soundtracks, compilations, and more. Find your next favorite album and build your music collection. CDs are available for pickup Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Location 2101 South Main Street, Little Rock, Arkansas. Spread the word and stop by to grab some treasures while supplies last. It's first come, first serve. So don't miss out. Support and donate to KBF.org. And I just want to emphasize on those CDs, there is no limit of how many CDs you can take. We've had a couple of people come in and take a couple of boxes, and we don't mind. Get as many as you want. There's no limit. My last announcement is basically a shout out. Just want to give a great big shout out to the city employees of Little Rock. In August of last year, they decided to choose United Labor Unions Local 100 as their union representative, for union representation. We had to go through this whole process. It was some, there was some obstacles thrown in their way, but we finally got the city to recognize the city employees' wishes and recognize United Labor Unions as their exclusive representation for their contract. We go into contract negotiations next Thursday, and I just want to give a shout out because these employees got out there on the ground, knocking on doors, talking to other employees to get the majority of these employees to go with United Labor Unions. And and I'm just so excited about this. They're excited about this. But it just goes to show when you can put your collective minds and your collective efforts together, you can make some change for the better. Denise.
Well, first I want to say, Salbona, good morning. This is from Charles Mugaga, watching with the kids from Kampala in Uganda, Africa. Hey! So glad that you all are with us. I do have a couple of announcements this morning. Community hero Fred Hoax is celebrating 40 years of working at the watershed, helping people of all ages, and in some cases, more than one generation of family members find jobs, food, housing, and utility bill funds. Please take a few moments out of your day to stop by and help celebrate Fred's dedication to the people of Little Rock. This is happening on Friday, which is tomorrow, March 14th at 12:30 p.m. at the Watershed Family Resource Center located at 3701 Springer Boulevard in Little Rock, Arkansas, 72206. Also, please consider supporting, if you can, no First Amendment rights should be denied, especially not for the sake of promoting apartheid and colonization. Little Rock Peace for Palestine is having an emergency call to action. Tell the Senate, vote no on SB 352. The gathering is happening today at 1:00 p.m. in the Capitol Rotunda. Wear red, black, and green to show solidarity. Can't attend? Well, call the Senate switchboard at 501-682-2902 to send a pink slip to your senator urging a no vote to stop this action. Okay, that's all I got.
Okay. And I'm glad you ended on that note about the Capitol. I ran into Kwami on Saturday. We were at the organizing fair, and there were speeches going on. Thank you for the Philly cheesesteak sandwich. I really appreciate it. But the one thing he said to me that resonated with me, he said, "Man, I see you at the Capitol." He said, "I see you at the Capitol. I see you, with that look on your face, like, man." And so we started talking about that, and it just, I know a lot of people can't make it out to the Capitol through these committees and doing these sessions, but as Denise said, if you can send an email, you can make a phone call, because some of these bills that they're doing, they know when there's no opposition, when there's no public comment, it's basically just watching through. And these bills are not only going to affect all areas of our life, education, labor, services, healthcare. So we really have, like I said, work to do to try to get these things done. So Kwami, first of all, thank you for being on the workplace. Just take a moment just to refresh people's minds or their ears about who you are, what you do, and what did you think about, and then just give me a quick overview of what you think about what's going on in the General Assembly during this session. And phone lines are open if you have a question, a pertinent question, for either Denise, me, or Kwami on this morning.
Well, I'm Kwami Abdul-Bey. I am here in the capacity of the NAACP Arkansas State Conference Political Action Chair. And I'm here to talk about what we need to do to actively and respond to the stuff that's going on, not only in our legislature, but in our Congress and everything, and what we can do to turn in and look at each other as far as a mutual aid aspect is concerned. I'm at the Capitol every single day, Monday through Thursday, from like 8:30 a.m. to sometimes 8:30 p.m. And it is an extremely stressful, traumatizing experience every single day, to a point where I'm having to go get regular massages and mental health therapy. And I'm serious about this too. It's very stressful. And you talk about the no opposition. It's one thing for us not to, really show up, but it's another thing for them to stack the cards and change the rules on an hourly basis to prevent opposition. So we have to be forever vigilant, like the announcement that you just said, Doc, about showing up and sending out those telephone calls, because those pink slips that they receive when you call the switchboard, those are very important. And so I encourage everyone around Arkansas, memorize those two numbers. There's a House switchboard and the Senate switchboard. Call those numbers, go to the General Assembly's website, look at the bills that you either support or don't support, and let them know, because one thing that they say consistently is, well, no one said anything, no one called me, no one emailed me, no one texted me. So let them know. Now that's not going to change their mind, but we need a record of us showing up and showing out. So
yeah.
Put your phone on this side. Put your phone on this side.
Okay. Yeah, and it's so interesting when I go, and there's certain legislators that you want to engage in, and you just want to get a straight answer for them about certain things. And so I remember approaching Dan Sullivan and asking him about a bill. And I just wanted him, and I asked the question, what is the basis of this bill, and what is it that you're trying to accomplish with this bill? And basically, it's almost like they just look at you. Oh, well, it's nice for you to ask that question and thank you and walk away. And it makes you feel good. And this where I get pissed off at, is that, man, I'm paying you.
yeah,
I'm paying you, because at the end of the day, they're not going to accept that from people they're paying. But we're paying you, and we get this,
the reason for that is a majority of the bills that are come through the legislature, they don't originate in Arkansas. These these lawmakers, they aren't writing these bills. It's special interest groups in California and Washington, D.C., and in Florida that are writing these bills and sending them to them, and they're just introducing them. Half of them have never even read the bill. And there's an organization called the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC. That's the main purveyor of all of these vast bills. The Heritage Foundation, they're right, the same organization that wrote Project 2025. They're the ones that are writing these bills and sending them for these legislators to introduce. So it's very telling when they get into these committee hearings and they can't even answer pointed questions about the bill. You ask them a question, then they start, well, what page is that on? I'm like, it's your bill.
Yeah, I was this week. I was there talking to some senators about the pay proposal that the governor has introduced for state employees, and talking about House Bill 1506, which wants to prohibit union deductions, prohibit state employees from having union dues deducted from their paycheck. And when you start asking them about it, they'll look at you like, I haven't heard that bill yet, or I haven't read it, or we talked about the pay proposal bill, even though it's been talked about, even though it's been introduced, they're like, oh, it's 225 pages. I haven't looked at it. And it's almost like, so you haven't looked at it because it's 225 pages. But I think what happens when these bills get introduced and they get ran through, they just get pushed through. Then afterwards, you want to have the backlash, like the Learns Act. Now you have some of these senators and representatives who are Republican. They're starting to realize my constituents are suffering because of the Learns Act, but I agree to it. So another thing, so Kwami, you ran for House District 69, and you were unsuccessful. Are you gonna mount another campaign for that House seat? Because I think that's the one thing that's going to have to happen. There has to be some sanity coming into the Arkansas General Assembly. And I think one of the ways it's going to have to happen is that we have to get rid of the supermajority of Republicans. It has to change somewhere, because if not, the ALEC, the Heritage Foundation, they're going to continue to write these bills and legislation that is going to be directly tied to direct democracy, and we see that happening.
Well, we have to figure out a way to get the people, awaken the people, and let the people understand that they have to fight for their own best interests, not just at the ballot box on election day, but as we're talking about, definitely, is that me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Fight in the ballot box, not just on election day, but we have to do it when the legislature is in session. We have to be there. We have to make sure not only elected officials, but appointed officials are held accountable on a daily basis. Now, what I want to do, yes, I definitely want to be a part of the solution. I do know that the person that I ran against, David Ray, there's whispers that he's going to be running for Senator Jane English's position.
That's they do.
So that makes it a little bit different. So, like, do I want to run against him for the Senate, or do I want to run again for the House of Representatives? I haven't figured out. I will run again sometime. I don't know how that looks. But right now, I'm concentrated on we're suffering right now today, and as the political action chair of the NAACP Arkansas State Conference, we meet on an almost weekly basis trying to come up with solutions to figure out how to help the people of Arkansas, particularly those people that look like us three, and those people whose bank accounts look like ours. So, you know, we had the economic boycott that went on, and there's another one. There's 3 different economic boycotts going on. So there's a little bit of disorganization there. So the NAACP is trying to come up with a way to formalize something here in Arkansas that we can do, not only with just an economic boycott, because we don't believe that just saying, hey, I'm not going to shop here is productive. It has to be tied to some long range planning and some long range goal setting. So we're trying to figure that out. So one thing that we're setting up right now is, well, how can we do this with time banking? How can we do this with actually making sure that we are investing in our own communities? One thing that I loved about the economic boycott that happened, what was that, 2 Fridays ago? I loved how the crowds were at K-Hall and at other Black restaurants and other Black entrepreneurs here throughout Central Arkansas. And we were really investing our time and our money in our own communities, but that's not something that we should be trying to just do on this one day out of the week. That's something that should be ongoing. So we want to start something where, hey, let's start with baby steps, where maybe we can do something every Friday up until Juneteenth, and then in Juneteenth take it to a weekly thing. So we're working on a plan right now, and we need everybody's input and involvement on the best way to do this. And that's why I'm here to, like, hey, let's have this conversation to figure out what we need to do, because the next 3.5 years are going to be rough.
Yeah, you are so right. I want to take a moment and give my co-host Denise the opportunity to weigh in on the topic, on the discussion, and if there's any comments from social media.
Oh, right now there are no comments from social media, but I'm sitting here thinking about, I'm listening to the conversation, and I hear you saying, Kwami, that a lot of the legislation that's being passed in Arkansas did not originate in Arkansas. And I'm well aware of ALEC, I'm well aware of the Heritage Foundation, so I know you're right about that. And then to hear you say, Toney, that you're talking to people at the legislature who are not familiar with their own bills. You said the same thing, Kwami. Mm-hmm. And so it's clear to me that the fight to me is not at the legislature. Because if you've got people that are just puppets for a larger campaign that's happening federally, then I don't see how, and you said something, Kwami, you said, well, you're not going to change their minds, right? Like, so we want you to call in so that we can have a record of the people's opposition, but we already know that it's not going to stop anything they're doing. So to me, all of that suggests that that's the wrong fight to be fighting, because there's no chance of winning in that way. And so I feel like we got to figure out how to fight a different way so that we can be successful.
I 100% agree with that, and we have to have that discussion. We have to figure it out. And right now, I don't know the exact answer to how to do that. I've been doing the research. I've looked at what was done in 1972, 74, and 76 with the National Black Political Convention. You know, in 74 was held here in Little Rock at Little Rock Central High School. 72 was in Gary, Indiana. I've looked at what was done in the civil rights movement, you know, after the Birmingham church bombing. the boycotts that went on there, of what can work here in 2025 in Arkansas that we can find that's beneficial to all of us, to our community. That's what we're trying to figure out, because as you stated, they're not listening to us. They're going to do what they want to do, and they will be damned about the ramifications. So how do we take care of ourselves through mutual aid and come back and just really, instead of looking outward, look inward into our communities to figure out how we can deal with this political onslaught that they're really trying to kill us. And they're really trying to take the time, turn the time back. You know how we just had the time change? They're doing a time change not in hours, but in decades.
Caller, thank you for holding. I didn't want to stop Kwami from finishing his statement. So you are on there, caller.
Thanks so much. Jack Sullivan here, people of y'all. Now, Brother Kwami, in light of the action of blacks doing what they're doing all over the country now, do you think this would be the perfect time for us to pull out from the Democrats and the Republicans of the action of blacks and unite together to have our own political party? I always call it people of color for more. And if we got people of color around the country and all over to unite, we could have probably a better voice in what's going on. But they say our house divided will not stand, and with them having us divided, we are just, like I say, most political parties will still have this, where they really, like things are not paying attention to us, and at the same time trying to kill us. Now, I you said come for questions, so that is my question. When and how is the best way for us to unite as a people instead of being divided between the Republicans and the Democrats, and us unite to have our own political party to hopefully, like I say, people of color more, or we deserve more, but as long as we are divided and don't have a voice, well, we have a voice. They say there's voting panacea for our problems, but it seems like year after year after year, they're playing us like we're some fools. And in light of the Democrats acting like fools, they say that this point, would you think it would be best since most Trump are registered as Democrats? Let's put a away from this and say, separate ourselves from them and the Republicans and have our own political party. That is the question.
Okay, thank you, caller.
Now, to restate the question, as I understand it, so we make sure we're clear, the question is, do we need to be involved in partisan politics as this two-party system is currently set up? Because the corporate Democratic Party is not really the party of the people that we believe it is, and that's what is that the question as you understand it?
Yeah, the way I understand it, the question is, isn't it time that we pull out of both parties, that we forget about Republicans and Democrats, create our own party? And I think he said, people of color or more, that you create your own political party.
Indeed. Yeah. Now there is a political party that's based in New York. It's called the Working Families Party.
Yes.
I've been talking to them, and I really like what they're doing. They're spreading throughout the United States, and they're really they're really interested in local politics, particularly on the municipal and the county level. So I agree that we need to have other options. I don't know if those options can manifest right now on the national level, and I don't really think that we should be putting all of our eggs in one basket when it comes to national politics. We need to be concentrating on local politics.
Well, I kind of disagree with that, in the simple fact that and I call it the triangle. I call it the devil's triangle. Florida, Arkansas, Texas. Florida, Arkansas, Texas.
Okay.
DeSantis, Sanders, and Abbott. Whatever's going on in DC, however DC is framing everything, these three states are the spearhead, like a triangle. They're the spearhead for everything else. That means that Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, North Carolina, was all our Nebraska, all those states are going to come in under that spearhead because they're pushing for these new laws and regulations that's coming from the top. So when you look at and here's the problem, and the reason I disagree. When you look at other countries, they have major parties. They have a party for everybody. They have a party with your voice, and because they have a party that caters to those specific groups that they represent, now when they sit down in their parliaments, they have to work together for the good of all those different parties. It's a setup here in this country. Is that you can call yourself Green Party, you can call yourself Independent, you can call yourself Working Family Party, you can have that, but we're going to make sure that the major funding, let's face it, it's not about you buy campaigns now, you buy offices now. It's not a lot of times it's you're influencing the people by the amount of money you can spend to influence them. And so it doesn't always work, but the majority of the time it does. And so you a lot of people who want to be represented, a lot of people who want to have a voice, because of because of this two-party thing, because there's some people who don't believe in being a Republican, don't believe in being a Democrat, but they do believe in the humanity and what's right. And that's difficult. So in a way, I kind of agree with Solar. I think it may be time. I think it is time that you create, whether just like in Africa, African National Congress. It comes a time when you say, you know what, we need to create, and there's enough money in the Black community that you can create your own party and be supported and have that money. And you can start making political change. You can start electing people into office, from this party. And we had that.
Yeah, but I don't see how what Solar Beam suggested, what I said, and what you said are different. I see that all being the same. What I was saying is that we spend too much time on national politics, and we need to definitely implement something on the local level. And the local level is going to be the best way that we build up that power that you're talking about, because we can't start on the national level, because the national politics is not catered to us. Now you're talking about this triangle. You said the triangle effect.
The devil's triangle.
The devil's triangle. This spear. Okay. The Confederacy is back in action.
It never left. Once the electoral college came in, it never left.
It didn't leave, but it's back in full force, and it's unapologetic now. So if the states are back in power, then we need to concentrate on what's going on here in Arkansas, and we can definitely do that. I have no problems with starting a party, a whole political movement again. Like I just mentioned, the National Black Political Convention, where they actually had a playbook, and you can go online and download the playbook that they put together, and we can use that to help us to create whatever it is we need to create. I was just saying that there has in New York State, they've already started that process with the Working Families Party. So yeah, I'm on board with that, and I want to be a part of that process.
Let me get these comments in. So Lo said a little while ago, your dollar is your power. Do not spend your money where you are not appreciated. Politics is a sums numbers game. Whoever has the numbers makes the rules. And so those comments came in a little while ago while you all were talking. I disagree with both of you all and Solar Beam. I don't think that the answer is to create another political party, because if you create another political party, it's still going to have to work inside the current system that we have. And so what I'm suggesting to folks is to pull out of the system altogether, so Black people can live outside of the system. I continue to say this. When we were the most successful as a Black community in particular was when we were forced to live outside the system, when we were not allowed to vote, we were not allowed to be at their hospitals, we were not allowed to be in their businesses. So we created our own system, and we lived as a community, and we thrived as a community, so much so that they got so white, the system of white inhumanity, the system of whiteness got so mad. What do? They bombed us, they killed us, all of that, to keep us from thriving in that way. So to me, the only way it's going to work is if we stop being complicit in the very system that's killing us. Because when you think about the Democratic Party, who's the number one voter that's keeping it afloat? Black women. Who's number two? Black men. So here we are participating in a process that continues to tell us and show us in so many different ways, you're not thinking about us. But if we are outside of the system and you no longer have access to our dollars, you no longer have access to our bodies, then what are you going to do? Now we can make a difference.
I think that is the end goal, but we are where we are now. We have to get there. And so I 100% agree that is where we need to be focusing on. We need to try to get there. But right now, we are where we are now, and we need to come up with some way to protect ourselves as we're moving towards that. I feel the pain that you feel as far as just totally wanting to get out of this system, because this system does not work for us. And if we go to the Reconstruction era, as you stated, the Reconstruction era gives us lessons on how we can do for ourselves. But right now, we don't have the ability to do that carte blanche. It's a gradual thing. Do you agree with that?
I do think that there are steps in the process that we have to take, and we have to be patient with the process. But I don't think that it's not something that we can't do. I think that whenever you want to make a change, you just make up your mind and make the change, and you just do it. Because I think what you're suggesting about how it has to be gradual is what Dr. King fought against, because he said, he wrote the book, Why We Can't Wait. Right? So we keep waiting for it to work. We keep waiting for the right time. We keep waiting for us to figure it out. And that time never comes. So we have to just make up our minds that we just not going to do it. Think about our ancestors. They didn't have time to say, you know what, in 3 years, we're going to figure it out. They had to figure it out as they would they had to walk across the bridge as they were building it. And it works for them. So that's what I think. So then Lo asks the question, where is the Black Folks Project 25?
That's a good question. That's a good question, but I don't think, when you say where's the Black Folks Project 25, I think is he asking, like we got the Project 25, this document that was developed by the Heritage Foundation that actually started back in the 1980s. So it's a cumulative document, but that's the document to basically take over power as it currently stands, right?
Right. So
but that's not what you're talking about.
Well, no, so this is how I hear it, and Lo,
Okay.
you can correct us if we're wrong, because he's listening. But the way I hear it is Project 25 is a document that details the steps that are going to be implemented so that they can achieve power in the way that they want it. So for Black folks, what are the steps that you are proposing for us to move forward as a collective to get the power that we deserve? So where is our blueprint? Where is our framework? Where is our agenda? That's where that's what I hear him saying. But then he asked the question, he came back, he's clarifying for us. Okay. Where is the counterattack from the system of for the system of white inhumanity? Yeah, so that's what he's saying. Like, okay, where is what are we doing to say, hey, this is our process for how we're going to react or respond or whatever to this. So where is our Project 25?
The one thing that's missed in all this, and Denise, you bring it up when you talk about when Black people weren't allowed to participate in creating. So standing here on March 13th, 2025, if you stop and if you could for a moment travel back all the way to the so-called beginning of this experiment called democracy in this country, you can connect the dots. Nothing has really changed. What they started then is still happening now. And when we look back, when the question is asked, where's our 2025? All you have to do is go back. All you have to do is understand what Dr. King was saying. Going back to, you were talking about the book he wrote, Why We Can't Wait. Go back to what Malcolm X was saying. Marcus Garvey. Go back to that's the blueprint right there. You can take that and take what they were saying.
Amos Wilson.
Yeah, and create that blueprint. Because here's the issue. Until, now I know we're talking about, this in this conversation we're talking about Black people, but until people, regardless of their color, regardless of their ethnicity or race, until the poor, to that 97% that's on the bottom, actually realize they're on the bottom. Because the perception is this: we know, and you see it playing out, whether it's in downtown on 7th Street at the Capitol or in DC, we see white money, power running everything the way it was created to begin with. And you see people who may look just like the people running, but you have no power. The only power you think you have is the color of your skin. But what they're doing is stripping away. Just like Denise, when you said, when Black people started to progress, they started to become, they had their own communities. What did they do? They went and bombed it. And they went and
built a highway or something.
Yeah, or massacred them, going back to Tulsa, going back to Black Wall Street and doing North Carolina. They destroyed it. Well, they're doing the same thing now, but the people who believe that they're untouchable in this, they think it's just going to be Black people, it's just going to be Hispanics. But now you have these poor white people who always were at the bottom also. The only thing that gave them any idea that they were something better was the color. Yeah, because the minute they wrote on that piece of paper that the only people who had opportunity to be a part of this piece of paper called the Constitution were white male landowners. If you poor, you ain't a part of this. And so until you get everybody, because once that happens, then you can start to build. These inclusive communities, whether it's Black, whether it's poor white, you can build that because now everybody is getting out of the system. Because they said the system ain't working for me. It's been lying to me that I'm somebody when I'm nobody. Dr. King, until he started, as long as he was fighting for Black rights, it was pushback, but they were cool.
When
but
he
the minute
when he
started the Poor People's Campaign,
and he started talking about economic slavery, And that's what we're dealing with, economic slavery and the commodification of life. So that's when we get back to the concept of time banking. So time banking, what it says is everybody's labor has equal value. So if you work an hour and I work an hour and you work an hour, all of that has equal value. Whereas right now, when we talk about the commodification of life, different people's hours of labor have different value on it. So that's what we have to get into. It's like a Bacon's Rebellion. And I every time I come on here, I talk about study the Bacon's Rebellion, because the Bacon's Rebellion is when all of these poor people came together and they overthrew the government of Virginia. And then they took all of that out of the history books to make sure it never happens again. So I'm with you 100%. Dr. King definitely was going in the right direction. And when he started talking about economic slavery, they said, take him out.
Well, I think that let me just get what Lo said really quickly. Maya Angelou said it best: when people show you who they are,
believe them.
And I always add believe them the first time. Yeah, so here's where I want to push back on this whole inclusive thing that includes white people and poor people. One of the things that Lo always reminds us to do is Sankofa, right? We want to make sure that we look back to the things that have happened in our history, and we pull out from them those lessons that we need and adjust them for the time that we're living in now, and implement them in the way that they can be effective now. And so I feel like when we talk about getting white people on board, here's a place where I don't believe Black folks are ready for that. Because when we say let's pull in the white people, I feel like we still have the mindset of the misinterpretation of integration, which suggests that the only way that my life is going to be right is if it is as close to white as possible. So until we have worked on ourselves as Black people to understand, yes, I don't mind living beside you, but that's not because I want to be you. That's not because I think that your house is better or your water is wetter. It's not because of that. And so I feel like when what you're talking about, like let's work with everybody, then I feel like when we do that, then we're going to still be dependent on white people for our freedom. We can't get free without you. And I'm saying, no, I don't believe that's true at all.
Well, I wasn't going there. I don't know if that's what you were suggesting. What I was suggesting is it comes a time where these people who have voted against their own self-interest have to understand.
And they can't understand it as long as this system continues to lift up their whiteness. They're going to choose white every time. And you said it, Tony, what is the only thing that they have? White. So they're going to choose white every time. So while you trying to be friends with them so that they can vote your way, if you give them a choice, they're going to choose white. They continue. What did Lo just say? When people show you who they are, believe you, white people continue to show us that if we have a choice, we're going to choose white every time.
And to me, this is like saying Black. If you choose, if you're given a choice, Black is going to choose Black. So but
Black doesn't have that. Black doesn't carry the power of the system. So it don't matter if you choose Black. It don't matter.
I understand.
But it matters if you choose white.
I understand what you're saying. But here's the thing that I'm trying to say. Here's the thing I'm trying to get across. Is that it has to come a point. And here's where, and all you have to do is go back to the sharecropping days, back in Mississippi, Alabama, when you had white and Black working on their own little crops, who were both getting misused, who they all came together and said, you know what, we need to form, we need to do something about this. We need to form organizations. We need to form associations. And when they came, they didn't kill Black. They killed poor white sharecroppers too, because they understood from the beginning, if we get them to realize that the only thing they have to stand on is the color of their skin, like I said before. And so as economics, but that's the point. The question is, how are you going to get them to realize that? Because now when you start to look, economics is the equalizer. Economics is the equalizer.
Poor people have been poor since the beginning. Poor white people have been poor since the beginning. When you talked about this,
That's
And
right.
they still poor and they still choosing white.
Economics is the equalizer. With your economic existence, when you realize I'm still at the bottom, and that's what they're realizing right now. There are poor white people who are realizing I don't have nothing. And so now you can actually work with them. And that's just me. You know, people have the right to look at things the way they want to look at them. I look at it in humanity sense. You know, I look at it, how does humanity work together for the good of humanity?
It sounds good to throw that word humanity in there, but we have to keep it real. And that's
keeping it real.
Okay.
That's keeping it real.
To you just said you have a right to say
right,
that. Okay,
right,
so that's to you. It's not keeping it real to me.
Right.
And so let me go to what Lo said. Lo was talking about these sharecroppers and how they came together, and then they came together and they pushed the black folks out. And that's exactly what happened. You were about to say something, Kwami?
I was not about to say.
Oh, I thought I saw your hand.
No, I saw the phone.
Oh, the phone line. Yeah, and so I feel like, and so for me, I'm not saying that white people don't need to realize it. I'm saying that as we look back over here, you said a few minutes ago, Tommy, we can connect the dots, and really nothing has changed. And so the idea that white people that are believing in their whiteness, that still hasn't changed. So you say, well, we need you to realize this. Actually, we don't. We can do this ourselves.
Call you there.
Very briefly, Sister Denise, Brother Toney, and Kwami. When you mention history, you know, it seems as though we always forget about it. You mentioned Black Wall Street. That was in 1920. Before then, we had Charleston, South Carolina, where around all the black people out there, because they had newspapers and everything. I.B. Wells started off in Chicago. They ran her out of Tennessee. So, and that was back before Wall Street. And of course, what happened in Arkansas, it was probably the most infamous of all of these massacres that we talk about all the time, right here in Eastern Arkansas. So, if we don't remember who it is that we're dealing with, that's going to have to be number one. Who we are dealing with. And like the man said, I think they're trying to kill us. Get off there and just, you know, like I said, put that in practice.
I want to make sure that I try my best to restate what Ezekiel said, because I don't think that you all can hear the caller over the air. And so Ezekiel just called in to talk about, number one, what we really have to do is remember who we are dealing with, because he talked about the things that happened before Black Wall Street. And he mentioned Ida B. Wells in particular, who is from Chicago, but got run out of Tennessee. And you said he also mentioned...
He mentioned Elaine, and basically, I will actually give you a connection. Ida B. Wells was in Memphis, and she was connected to the People's Grocery Store, which was a Black community in Memphis, and they had their own grocery store. And that grocery store was firebombed, and 3 of the 4 owners were lynched. The 4th owner escaped and came to Argenta, Arkansas, and started a grocery store in Argenta, Arkansas, which is North Little Rock. And he ended up being lynched himself here in Argenta. So when you talk about the history of racialized terror lynchings and terror violence, yes, we do have to remember that, and that's why I go around putting up these markers throughout the state of Arkansas to commemorate the 500 plus people who have been lynched here in Arkansas, simply because of the fact that they had melanin in their skin.
Yeah, but not only that they had melanin in their skin, but think about what you're saying. All of the people that you're talking about with the People's Grocery Store, they were living where? Outside of the system.
Yes.
And when the system recognized that they were able to exist and survive and thrive without them, that's what made the system mad. We want you in the system. We need you in the system, because this is how we operate. And so that's where your power lies. Your power lies in saying, we don't need your system, sir. We can do this on our own.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing I want people to understand, and I do talk about humanity, but I never forget don't ever think that I forget for 1 second what I saw and what I grew up with, what the history of my people. When I go to visit these plantations like the Whitney plantation in Baton Rouge, and I see, and when I read these tidbits from the Equal Justice Initiative, when I read that, yes, that resonates with me because I understand every day that I am a Black man living in this country, which makes me a target every time I open my mouth, every time I speak, every time I do things. But I also have this hope, and that's just my hope, that humanity one day will understand humanity, and people will realize we all get screwed. If we, and I agree with you, Denise, it comes a point where you got to get out of the thing that is causing your problem. So you got to get out this system that is not geared for you anyway. And when, and I just believe that when other people wake up and say, you know what, we got to get out this system too. We can be just like Native Americans who created, we got our own land, we got our own system, and we are working it. Hey.
I do want to say this before you go, because I think this is very important. Based on what you just said, making the connection, Kwame, Lowe said that one of those lynchings was a distant cousin of his. One of those lynchings was a distant cousin of mine, Winston Pounds Jr. Winston Pounds Jr.
I'm going to look him up.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, it is 10 o'clock. It's actually 10:01. It's been a
Pounds.
Pounds.
P-O-U-N-D-S.
I want to thank Kwami Abdul-Bey for being on the show. Any final?
And I appreciate being here, and I love the conversation. Why are we just having 1 hour?
People ask us
just
that.
got into we just getting into it, and we got to get off.
Any final words?
If we are going to live in a world that is more just, more equitable, more free, more peaceful, we have got to learn how to live and love differently.
And this is to all people. Learn your real history, regardless of your race, your color, your ethnicity. Learn your real history and wake up to not only your real history, but to the history that's being made every second of every day. All right. Enjoy your rest of your week. See you on Monday for Down with That with me and Neil. Next Tuesday for Community Voices with the Reverend Dr. Denise and me. And next Thursday is the Help Corner with the Women of Help. So talk to you later. Peace out.